along this, one thing I hear often is, the golden rule. And anybody know what the golden rule is? Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not those who have the gold make the rules. It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So keep that in mind while you're looking for money, because what you land up with as investors and partners are going to be extremely important to you down the road when you're starting to see success. So I'll leave you with that thought, and maybe we'll get into some interesting questions.
Thank you very much, Rick. Well, clearly we can see our panel is going to be quite a interesting mix. And I'd like to ask the panelists to come up to the front. Turn on the microphones here. All right. So what I'd like to do is I thought maybe I would ask the first question, and then I would open up to the audience, and please feel free to jump in. I'll try to point to the person to kind of keep everybody in order. Thought I would start off, if you were just starting a PV company, what is the first place you would approach for the funds needed to develop the technology and businesses? And I'll kind of throw it open, and whoever is the...
Rick's done it before.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take the first step. Well, if I was starting a company, which I've started a few recently, and one very recently, but if I was going to start a new company, I wouldn't concentrate on funds, first of all. I would concentrate on people. Because the team that you build is really going to be, and actually that's just kind of a subset of the resources that you really have. So I would spend a lot of time working on a business plan with the people that you want to spend the next 5 years of your life with, because you're going to be seeing them more than you're going to be seeing your families, I can guarantee you. After you've done that, that will kind of lay out what your needs are, and depending on how much money you're actually looking to raise, that will kind of point you in the direction of who to talk to. That might be seed money that can range from $500,000 to a couple $1 million, or if you're looking at something much more substantial and you've got strong IP and you're looking to raise larger dollars, I would go for strategics. There are a lot of companies that are looking to get into photovoltaics right now around the world and in the US that are looking for technology opportunities, and they don't have a lot of, there's a lot of money available, but there's not a lot of technology that's readily available for people to partner. So.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Any questions from the audience? Don't be shy.
I have a question.
Okay.
Very quickly. I've heard a wide range of different sizes for business plans when you're presenting, ranging from 4 pages as a summary to 50 pages in a comprehensive plan with tied-out financials, etc. What's the happy medium for a company that's getting going now, teams arranged? It's like I don't want to write a 50-page plan now.
I'll just say a second, and I'll pass it on to other people. But there's an old story about a guy who was commissioned to write a thesis for a king, and he gave him 7 large volumes of work. He said, well, if I had a lot more time, I could have given it to you in one. So shorter is better. If you can, you need a 2-page summary to start anything that you're doing. 1 page would be even better. Generally, I see a lot of business plans in the 30 to 40 page range, but maybe I'll hand it over to him.
Yeah, I mean, I really pretty much agree with everything just said, but one thing I'd focus on is if you're not, if you haven't been through it before, the process that business plan is going to get put through from the investor side looks something like this. If you're sending the business plan to venture capital firms, they typically have kind of associates, junior folks who read hundreds and thousands of business plans. And very few of those filter up to the partners who might actually sponsor an investment. And so, you know, I think size-wise, you know, 20 to 30 pages shorter is, you know, generally better, but it needs to be as long as it needs to be to do a good job. The executive summary has to be good, but more than anything, I'd say, you know, in terms of the content, you just need to nail it in terms of how you're differentiated, what the, you know, what a home run looks like and why you think you are one. You know, it's, the content has really just got to sing, and you have to tell, you know, cover all the basic parts of the story, why you're, you know, why you've got a good team, and you know, why you have a good technology position, and so forth. So,
do you think it's important to include the evolution of markets, like past those first niche, and then, you know, the sort of evolution over time as those product cycles sort of die down, and where it's going next in the original plan, or is it like laser focused?
I think, you know, I think plans ought to vary. I think there is no cookie cutter thing for a plan. I mean, you know, there tends to be a kind of template that they follow, but I think you really need to think about what's different about your company and tailor it to what's different. And I would say, if you're in a space where you think, and this is true a lot in clean tech, even, you know, clean tech specialist investors, it's such a diverse area. You know, I have clients in, you know, advanced materials and clean transportation, in, you know, in solar, in biofuels. I mean, it's just, you know, every space is so different. And so if you're doing something really new or something, there's a good chance that even the knowledgeable clean tech investor reading your plan is not really going to know much about your space. So if you're in PV, they're going to know a lot about it generally, unless you're just doing something really. The hologram thing, I would think, is something not every knowledgeable, and not somebody who's seen a lot of PV business plans, that's going to be new, and you might need to tell in a condensed way a little bit more about the history and, you know, significance of the space.
Oh,
Yeah, I just like to add that I think the focus really is not the number of pages. The focus really is what is your message. What is it that you're trying to sell? Then you figure out, okay, this is my real message is, and then figure out what you need to really convey that in a very effective manner. If it takes 5 pages, fine. If it takes 20 pages, fine. If it takes 1, fine. So it's the pages doesn't drive the business plan or the concept. Because as you mentioned that, you know, the analyst who's going to read 100 of these is going to throw everything away unless it really captures the attention. So you really capture that attention.
Peter, do you want to?
What I was going to say was executive summary and the plan. The executive summary, you better catch them in the first 1 or 2 pages. So you got to say something that's going to capture their attention, especially if they've read 100 of these. And secondly, you know, when you read a document, I'm sure everyone in this room has read a document. There are certain documents you read where the writer really thought about this. That's what you want. There's tons of documents where when you read it, you realize that the writer didn't think about it, didn't think it through. That's really the key. It has to come across as a document that the writer really thought about this and covered all the different points that all the other gentlemen mentioned. But if it doesn't convey that, you're in trouble.
Right. What I'm hearing is it's sort of like where you are, you know, what your action steps and critical path are to get to where you need to be, and then the budget required to sort of get you there, the core essence of the plan. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah, I would. And also remember, the primary reason for a business plan is not to raise money.
Right.
It's a business plan, a roadmap for the business. So
The money's like the fuel.
it's important when you read it that you also do it that way.
Great question.
As always, clear writing is clear thinking. Next question?
This is going to be a little bit specific, but Yash, in one of your slides, you had the target for your company as $1 a watt. Right? And that measure, what I'm asking about, is that a manufactured cost or is that street cost? And what are the implications that you see in the industry? And actually, the rest of your gentlemen can speak in here as well.
Manufactured cost.
Manufactured cost. Now, what's going to happen when that reaches $1 a watt? I'm not talking to your company specifically, but in general, what happens in the marketplace? What are the global repercussions because of it?
It's getting there already. We won't get below that.
At what point does it reach rate parity?
Depends on where you're putting it.
There's places where it's
Like Long Island actually is a prime location for PV because the cost of the electricity is so high. Being a natural load pocket, being an island, it's a load pocket, and the number of sunny days mixes into it. So there's actually Richard Perez in the Atmospheric Science Research Center here, right in this complex, is world-renowned in planning, projecting, and analyzing this. And there's also, I think, True Wind Solutions, don't they also have a PV focus on theirs that will also figure out prime deployment sites as well? So if you're in the deployment end. I'd like to ask a question. What PV technologies are most ready for wide-scale adoption? And also, which cutting-edge PV technology are the most potentially game-changing candidates moving forward?
I have a short answer to the question. I'll sort of do it from a utility perspective, not maybe from where you're mostly standing, but from our perspective, any technology that will offer 20, 25-year warranty has a lot of proven experience in the field, and that's a decent price. But it's really the commercial terms that we're going for.
Before I make my comment, I'd like to ask a question. How many people in the room here have PV on their home? So it's 2 people. 4 people. And how come the rest of you don't?
Don't have a
We got to start with that. I think the answer is cost. And to many children. In order to get the cost down, you need basically a number of things. One is a lower cost per watt, like your $1 per watt idea. But in addition to that, everyone seems to forget the other half of the equation. The panels don't come to your house and magically get on the roof. Somebody has to put them there. So you have a balance of system cost. So if you get the price of panels down to $1 and the cost to install them is $2, you're still at $3. So what you need is something that's cheap to manufacture, but also has high efficiency, north of 20, 25%. Because if you don't do that, the cost of installing it is going to become a higher and higher percentage rather than what it is now, 50-50. So you need breakthroughs in both. You need low cost, and you need low balance of system. And the only way to do that is to have a higher efficiency panel without concentration.